Hello everybody, Aiden here, and welcome back to another video here on the Round the Slice Entertainment YouTube channel. So, last night, episode 6 of season 2 of The Pitt premiered on HBO and HBO Max, and the episode takes place in the Pitt ER between the hours of 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. during the day. Per usual, I'm here to give you my review and discussion and break it down the best way I know how, as is the case we do every week. As always, I'm going to give you some character moments I studied and noticed in this episode, what I noticed most from each major character, some storylines I am looking forward to going forward in this episode. And then at the end, I just have one major issue with this episode, thematic issue, if you will. So let's start and get into it. Where else do we begin? This is a sad moment, man. Unfortunately, the cliffhanger from last week's episode came to fruition, and Louie bit the dust. Man, his time in this earth ended. It was very emotional and very sad. At the very least, like I said last week, I'm just glad that they did it at the start of this episode and didn't drag it out over multiple episodes and have him kind of suffer and see Louie happy, and then all of a sudden, boom, he just falls off the face of the earth. Literally, he dies. As an audience member, I'm just glad they ripped the Band-Aid off quick, if you will. It was very emotional for me personally, as I'm sure many others. I teared up on multiple different occasions when they were talking about it a handful of times throughout the episode, because as I said last week, Louie is the patient of the Pit. When you think of the show, you think of Louie. When you think of the ER, you think of Louie. All the doctors take this very hard, and Dr. Langdon, whether it was season 1 or season 2, treating him for the tooth, or Langdon admitting that he took some benzos and that was not cool of him and he's going through the 12-step rehab program. Langdon was obviously heartbroken, very somber and quiet, if you will, about it. But one new doctor in particular, Whitaker, he was a student doctor, now he's a full-time doctor, obviously. He was very shaken up about it. He didn't know at first, but then Perla, Joy, and Ogilvy are all outside in the central area, or whatever you want to call it. Rather, specifically, mainly, they're out there, and they said, "Hey, Whitaker, did you hear about what happened?" And as Perla's about to tell him, Perla's like, "Louie," and then pauses for a bit, and then stupid ass Ogilvy interrupts and goes, "He croaked." And then Whitaker runs and then goes in the room with Dr. Langdon, and that whole thing transpires, and Whitaker's clearly holding back tears, asking what happened, blah, blah, blah. Stupid ass Ogilvy, man. I swear, this curly-haired kid does something wrong every single episode that I cannot stand. Every single week, every single hour of this shift, every single episode, he does something that I cannot stand. I'm sure you all agree. He's a very unlikable character. Maybe that's how he's meant to be. Maybe that's how his character is written. But, like, Jesus, every time he just doesn't shut up. Like, this isn't a moment to be sarcastic. This isn't a moment to just blurt out, "Oh, he croaked." Like, Whitaker's been working for this guy for damn near, working with Louie as his primary care doctor for damn near a year. Shut up and let Perla calmly let him down. Let Perla calmly tell him. Let the doctors be somber. Let the doctors kind of live in the emotion of Louie passing. It was very, very sad to see. And then Ogilvy's just a stupid ass for that comment. Let me know down in the comments below this YouTube video. What's your opinion on Ogilvy? Can you not stand him like me with each passing episode? Do you think he does something extremely dumbass-like, to put it in layman's terms? So, at least they did it in the beginning. At least they didn't drag it out over multiple episodes, multiple hours through the day, quote unquote, if you will, for this series, because it all takes place on the 4th of July, obviously. Next, we got some check-ins with some already previously established patients, whether it was Harlow Graham, the deaf woman who missed her name in chairs, and then Lupe recognizes that she's deaf, and Donnie took care of her. Princess tries to come in and interpret, because we know the interpreter got called to another floor, another patient, rather, if you will, and they need an interpreter to come in. So it'll be interesting how that will be handled going forward. We don't fully know what's wrong with Harlow Graham. Is she connected to that baby somehow in the back room? Is she deaf? And maybe she left the baby without realizing because she's deaf, because she doesn't really speak, because she uses sign language. We also checked back in with Roxy, the cancer patient who apparently is slowly dying. Go back to the somberness from last week. We saw a lot of character development with her, and her primary care is Dr. McKay. And yeah, this was sad to see because she says to her husband, Paul, you need a break. Go home and get the house ready. And then right as she's about to leave the ambulance with Lena, go on the ambulance with Lena to go home, the other charge nurse, she says she can't do this. She just wants to stay in the warm bed of the hospital and the ER. We know the hospital is being overflowed with the other hospital and their own patients. So we got to see how that shit works out. But yeah. We don't know what's fully going on. And then checking back in with Jackson Davis, right? The security guard is oddly missing the last few episodes. But other than his sister showing up here and there, Jada Davis, we really haven't seen Jackson Davis himself. This is really the first time we saw him talking instead of mumbling when he first got there, but actually speaking to anybody about what happened. He's hearing hallucinations, and that's why they bring in the therapist dude, Dr. Jefferson, who works at the hospital on the floor above as well, to kind of consult and go over. He's a social worker, just like Kiara from the last season. Kiara and Mateo, I'm sure they'll return, but we gotta see how that shakes out, if you will. So it was nice that we touched on Jackson Davis again, because his storyline was oddly missing the last few episodes rather, so if you will. So other than his sister, of course, but him himself will be interesting to see his dichotomy going forward. Next, we got a I can say brand new. He was introduced at the very end of very second half of back half, if you will, of last week's episode. The guy that comes in cuffs in the orange jumpsuit, the prisoner patient, the incarcerated patient. We see him come in, and basically it's determined by Dr. Mohan that in response to Dr. Al and Dr. Robbie, but Dr. Mohan mainly for the main case there, that he doesn't get enough fruits and vegetables and too many carbs. Basically, he's not on a good, stable diet at all at the prison. And then there's this interesting debate back and forth between Dr. Robbie and Dr. Al. Dr. Al wants to keep him there to get his nutrition up, because she, in her mind, recognizes that maybe the prison isn't, even though he is incarcerated in orange jumpsuit, at least in terms of nutrition and the nursing in there and the housing and stuff, isn't really the best for a malnutrition patient. So Dr. L is pushing really hard to keep him there. And at the end, his pulse ox goes down. Maybe Dr. L had something to do with that sneakily, and the data, maybe not. And then Dr. Robbie, it's not like he's shoving the incarcerated patient out, but he needs beds available for when most of the overflow eventually does come in from the other hospitals specifically. I'm with Dr. Robbie. If the prison has nutritionists, like they said in the phone, if the prison has 24 hours, 24/7 nurses in a good care facility in their mind, then like he can go back to the prison all good. Again, he's an incarcerated patient, so he's not like just some guy, walking around in the street. Like, he's obviously previously incarcerated for a reason, as we see from the police officer and the beige that brought him in. So yeah, Dr. Al is also getting on my nerves, because we can just jump to another storyline as it has to do with Dr. Al. Let me find it. Her AI tool / app, in quotes, whatever you want to call it, tool, app, is becoming a huge issue. Obviously, we saw last episode, Dr. Santos was trying to catch up on her charting through dictation per Dr. L's suggestion, and we see it backfires. We see that there is many typos, many errors in the AI tool, if you will. What was it called? Dictation or some shit like that. And instead of a brain neurology scan, it put in there urology, and it didn't put the right records in. And the surgeon gets really, really concerned and annoyed. And I would too if I were in her shoes, because the stupid AI made a lot of errors. And then Dr. Robbie brings up to Dr. Al and says, listen, your dumb AI thing for better or worse, is not working. And Dr. L deflects, well, there's some errors here and there. It has to be proofread. That's just more work. Dr. L said a few episodes ago, that this AI tool, the dictation, if you will, its purpose is to save time. So how is inputting it through speaking, dictation, and then having to proofread it over again and again saving time? That's just putting more on their plate in addition to the patient. So there's clearly tension building between Dr. Santos, Dr. L, Dr. Robbie, because of her dictation method, because of Dr. L's AI tool. The minute she introduced AI from the beginning, I thought that was going to go haywire at some point, and it is, for better or worse, mainly for worse, starting to go haywire. Speaking of Dr. Santos, she's spiraling, man. Like, she's giving the cold shoulder to Whitaker. She's not fully invested in her patients. We saw her falling asleep and zoning out at her desk once. She's kind of cranky with the deaf woman and Princess, who tries to interpret but can't do it fully. She's going to crack at some point. She's going to go off on somebody at some point. And basically, her only friend in the ER, in the pit specifically, is Whitaker and her roommate. And I feel like she's going to go off on Whitaker. And then Whitaker, knowing how sweet and patient of a guy he is, he's probably going to understand it. But maybe he'll fight back. I hope he does, because I hope he doesn't take that. He takes a lot. But yeah, she's going to crack at some point. And then a minor thing I noticed, the shadow nurse that's shadowing Dana, Emma Nolan, she's getting more and more comfortable. She's becoming more outspoken, not like rude or anything, but she's asking more questions. She's asking more, what happens with this? How do you know that? What happens with this scenario? And she has that nice few-minute moment in conversation with Langdon where she's like, I'm scared of Dana. She seems intimidating. And Langdon basically assures her, nah, Dana knows what she's doing. She can come off kind of prickly in the beginning, but on the inside, she's a sweetheart. And I think Emma Nolan, the shadow nurse again, really needed that reassurance. And Emma got thrown into the fire firsthand with Louie's death, and her and Dana have to clean him up, a very personal one-on-one thing. Let's see, we already talked about Santos. Another theme, another symbolism moment here. Another motorcycle injury / accident. We see Dr. Garcia say, oh, another motorcycle injury with a patient. And she kind of side-eyes Dr. Robbie like, wink, wink. What the hell are you thinking? You can't go on this trip. And Dr. Robbie thinks that his coworkers don't support him. I think it's opposite. They're right to be doubted. He's going to go on this 3-month trip to Alberta, Canada. So he says. I thought from day one, hour one, minute one, however you want to look at it, rather for here and there of the, if you will, of this shift, that he wasn't going to make it. Or maybe he'll make it way shorter than it does. But maybe he is having second doubts because right now, doubting himself, because right now he's very steadfast. I'm going on this trip. I'm leaving tomorrow, and that's that. But I wonder if he cancels it completely or just keeps shoving it to the back of his brain. He doesn't end up going at the end of the season. That would be a nice character development for Dr. Robbie, where he's like, okay, I've seen enough patients be injured and potentially borderline death at this point due to motorcycles, due to parkour accidents like this and such. So I'm going to hold off on this for now, at least, and maybe reconsider in a year or so and maybe do a shorter trip. So for the most part, I really, really enjoyed this episode. One character that was basically missing, other than for a few minutes in the beginning, when they're told to go check on their patients, is Mel, Dr. Mel King. That's okay, because we've gotten a lot of character development with her so far this season heading into now. Whether it's her deposition with the malpractice lawsuit from some patient, I don't know. Whether against her and she's involved with the hospital, obviously. Whether it's her worrying about her sister who has autism. Maybe she has autism herself, so maybe she's on the spectrum a little and having to deal with that. I'm okay with not seeing Dr. Mel King. We don't need to clutter up. I like character development. We don't need to clutter up every single episode with every single character under the sun. But the only thing I will say about this episode is maybe I'm being impatient. Maybe I'm being selfish. You can let me know down in the comments below. I'm still waiting for chaos. Last year, I obviously saw the tension breaking, boiling point, if you will, with the Pitt Fest shooting in the last 4 or 5 episodes or so around there. This season, I feel like keeps teasing and teasing too much. 4 episodes ago, Dana got the phone call at the end for the cliffhanger of, we're going to get an overflow from that other hospital, and that's that. Okay. but episode, week in and week out, keep making subtle nods to it. Dana asks Dr. Robbie, how many patients have we gotten from the overflow from the other hospital? Dr. Robbie goes, oh, around 10 or so. And Dana goes, I'm sure we'll get more. And that's that. That's the only mention of it. I like the character development. I like that we're building up. But at some point, something's got to break, if you know what I'm saying. Hopefully you follow me here. If not, let me know down in the comments below what you think. We get the pressure cooker. We get the boiling point. It keeps bubbling up. It keeps bubbling up. But at some point, now that we're heading into the middle of the season, some shit's got to fly. Shit's got to hit the fan. We need the urgency. We need that urgent tone. We need that high tension tone. We need that big event like the overflow. I need chaos. I need the hospital to be overrun with chaos. I need the outside landing zone where the ambulances drop off, pick up people with chaos. I need it all to be chaotic because that's my favorite part of this entire show. The urgency notched up to 1,000. It's great that we're slowly building character development, but how much character development do we need at this point before it really hits the breaking point and shit hits the fan? I want chaos. Enough of these subtle character storylines, enough of these subtle hints to it. Go full bore into it. The pressure cooker, if you will, can only boil up for so long. Episode in, episode out, we can't keep teasing it and teasing it and teasing it, and then nothing happens. Let it rip already. Let the chaos begin. If it goes down in flames, it goes down in flames. But I want to see that. So, for the most part, I enjoyed this episode. But once again, I'm still waiting for chaos. Maybe I'm just impatient. But I've heard that sentiment before from other people. And another episode passed with really no chaos in the other hospital with the overflow. The only tension we got was the AI tool, which maybe that will get real dicey with the chaos of the overflow of the hospital. But yeah. Anyways, guys, that was my most important storylines, what I'm looking forward to from the past, future, and present with this show, what character developments and plots, impatient plots and developments caught my eye the most, per se, if you will. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below. What did you think of this episode? Do you agree with all my positives and one major negative or concern, if you will, of we need chaos to start going. We need shit to start flying, if you will, per se. So let me know all of that. You can follow me on Twitter/X. I'm always talking about film, movies, TV shows, any nerdy pop culture shit. Follow me on X/Twitter at @AWeingartner13. Of course, please like and subscribe. We're always coming up with new fun content ideas and videos on this channel. But for weekly programming that you can expect on a regular basis, every Thursday night, we have HBO's The Pitt. And every Sunday night, we have HBO's The Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We talk about boiling points with this show. That show is about to get real effing crazy. So, yeah. And then in about a week and a half or so, give or take, we have Paradise premiering on Hulu, and we're going to be covering that going weekly going forward as well. So we got a lot going on at once in here, but I love it. I love talking nerd and pop culture with you all. I hope you do as well. This is Aiden. Thank you for the support. As always, I will see you on the next one. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Let me know what you're planning to watch this weekend, movies, TV shows, or otherwise, down in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.